Okay, everyone. Look, we're all using AI right now, point blank. That part's done. ChatGPT, like my dad's talking to me about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. It's all gone mainstream and everyone's using it for copy help, idea generation, the baseline stuff. As Jess on our team, head of marketing, likes to remind me, I'm only scratching the surface. And there's clearly a gap. Most marketing teams are using AI tools to think, but not actually do. And that's where things are heading next. Our sponsor, Optimizely, built this platform called Opal that lets you use autonomous AI agents to go and do the stuff you shouldn't be doing manually versus just being another chatbot. This is stuff like creating and optimizing on-brand web pages, emails, SEO content, and campaigns by audience segment. It catches brand, legal, and accessibility issues before anything else goes live. It pulls data from your other systems like Google Analytics or your CRM and sales tools to auto-build reports, summaries, and recommendations. And guess what? It's completely no code. So marketers like you and me can build and leverage agents for any use case that we dream up without needing to rely on developers. Heck yeah. So get this, Optimizely has this awesome offer for Exit 5 listeners. They're offering a free personalized 45-minute AI workshop to help you identify the best AI use cases for your marketing team and map out which agents can save you time with a practical plan you can actually go and use right away. So if you need help demystifying all of this AI agent stuff and you want to figure out where you can put AI agents to work inside of your marketing team, go and check this out. Go to optimizely.com/exit5 and check it out. That's optimizely.com/exit5. You're listening to B2B Marketing with me, Dave Gerhardt. Hey, what's up, everybody? My guest on this episode is Kieran Flanagan. Kieran is a marketing executive at HubSpot, where he leads a marketing team of 300 marketers globally. And before that, he was CMO at Zapier. But you probably know him as the guy who's been talking a whole lot about AI and marketing on LinkedIn. And that's exactly why I reached out to have him on the show. We talk about AI. Come on, the hottest topic in marketing right now. We talk about what role AI will have in B2B marketing, what the future marketing team might look like, how the role of CMO changes in the world of AI. And I got a bunch of your comments and questions, and I tried to get him to open up and share some of his secret AI prompts that you can use too. We had a great chat. We talked a lot about marketing, not just about AI. You're going to love this if you're a B2B marketer. Here's my conversation with Kieran Flanagan. All right. Super excited to have Kieran on the pod today. Got a bazillion comments of questions that I should ask you. And then I read them all and I'm like, I like my questions better. So I'm going to stick with them.
Probably just all about my prompts.
Yeah. We have a bunch of things. But before I instantly jump off and ask you questions, can you just give the listeners background on you real quick? You've been marketing leader, CMO at Zapier. Now you're back at HubSpot doing some cool stuff with AI. But how do you explain who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I will condense my career into wanted to be a builder. So I was a developer, a software developer. It's what I went to university for. And pre-AI tools, because I'm going to circle back to this, I sucked. I was terrible. I used to sit there, read code in books, could not code. Or could code, but was always average. And I was like, I'm going to have a very average career. I found my way in marketing because at that time, marketing was the kind of 2008. And so the internet started to change, I think, marketing to be a much more technical discipline. And so I got into search, got into performance marketing. And then I did the kind of thing you do in Dublin when you get into SaaS, help brands to grow internationally because, that's what you get. You set up the base in EMEA, you grow internationally. I did that for Salesforce Marketo. That was my first stint in HubSpot, my first 2 years. That was good fun. Then I went and did an eclectic mix of things for HubSpot. I would say the fortunate thing that I have managed to do is I've never really had a straightforward marketing job per se. I've always had more of a range of missions. And so first one was helping to grow the business internationally. Second one was helping us to shift towards a PLG business, which I think you were in HubSpot at that time, maybe around the time we were starting to move to that PLG. The third one was really, we had to kind of rebuild the way all of our go-to-market customer demand engine worked. The fourth, which was a lot of fun, was building out our media network, which was acquiring The Hustle, building this kind of media network. And then the fifth was a collection of things, but I didn't really have a core mission. I work on 2-year increments, and so I have to have a core mission that lasts 2 years. So I went to Zapier, did the GM role for self-serve. That's an incredible company the hours were a bit of a stretch. I'm based in Dublin. A lot of it was based in San Fran. That's like 5 p.m. their day starts my time. And so I wanted to I said like, that's not going to work. We decided to look for something else. And then Kip, who you know really well, was like, hey, we need to like do a bunch of AI transformation within the company. And that really is, I'm a shiny objects person, for better or worse. Actually, a lot of times for worse, if I'm being honest. And so AI was like, I was like obsessed by AI. I was like, the only thing I really care about is being the most knowledgeable person in operator who can do AI. And so I was like, oh, I get real practical knowledge. And so there's 3 core things in HubSpot. I still do a lot of the marketing. A bunch of the marketing teams report to me. I have all of the cross-functional teams that are doing a bunch of the internal AI transformation, and then do a lot of things for our SMB go-to-market. So I get an eclectic mix of things, I think.
Yeah, I love that. And it just, I mean, obviously, as you grow and mature, it's about learning where to operate and what gives you joy. You said you work in 2-year increments. Is that like an actual like contractually obligated thing, or is it like a Kieran mental framework for like just kind of time boxing your life a little bit?
It's a Kieran framework, but like people who work with me know that's how I work. And so I will always look to see what the next incremental mission is coming into the second year, usually like the last 6 months of the second year. So even here in HubSpot, I have 3 core missions and I can actually time box them into really like 2 years. The reason 2 years is because anything that is, I think, impactful takes some time. But I think to actually have something that really motivates you, you should be able to do it within a foreseeable amount of time. It was 5 years. It's too long away for me to like stay motivated that long to see the impact of it. So like 2 years, I think, has always been a great force and function to say, am I doing something meaningful? And can I actually see the end in sight? Because that's what motivates me, is getting to the end and seeing it to, making sure that it actually has some sort of impact.
I like that, just like even for people listening, right? Like, so obviously we've all gone through growth and change in our career. And, sometimes I say things and someone's like, well, that's easy for you. You've proven yourself. You kind of have a pick of your job or whatever. But I even like that, even if you're stuck in a shitty job, right? It's like, okay, maybe I'm earlier in my career and I can't leave the company. Can I give myself a 2-year mission of like, is there something that I can work on where I can gain some skills inside of this company? And then I can have a pick of my next thing kind of after that, right?
Yeah, because again, I think you have to commit to doing something long enough that you can earn your stripes, right? Like you have your pick of jobs because you've earned your stripes. I think there's a lot of people aren't willing to do the grind. And I think, a good example of that is me and Kip growing this YouTube channel will nearly be the death of me. So we have Marketing Against the Grain. We decided to pivot from RSS to YouTube. It's the hardest thing to do. Like YouTube is one of the hardest channels, and we are grinding because we have like a bunch of other things we do. But that grind is what I think separates people who will be successful versus will not. And 2 years is enough time that you actually really have to grind through some stuff, but not so much time that you cannot stay motivated to achieve that outcome. So even if I was early in my career, I remember I used to be really obsessed by titles. I think most people are. The earlier you are in your career, the more obsessed you are by titles. And I think that's fine because titles do come with better salary, things like that. And so I used to wake up every day and say, I had a whiteboard that just said, I want to be a marketing director for a US-based company. Now, for most people based in the US, that's not an ambitious goal. When you were based in Ireland, that is a pretty ambitious goal because there's not a lot of US companies. We're coming to Ireland at that point, and it's harder to like climb the career ladder in American companies if you're not based in America. So I used to have that as my kind of 2-year force and function. I want to be director, and then I want to be VP. And now it's really just about solving problems.
Yeah. What is it about being in Ireland? Is it just that there were not a lot of, I mean, is that true now? Like, I feel like last time I was over there, it was like every corner is a SaaS company, but
there's a lot more opportunity now. I think still a lot of the US companies come here, and what the marketers end up doing is replicating the global strategy on an international basis. But I think that even in itself is becoming more innovative. Like it has definitely evolved since I first started doing it. I think there's a ton more opportunity. I think remote work has opened up a ton more opportunity for folks. And Ireland actually has a pretty good, not as good as it should be, but they have a startup scene, like a growing startup scene as well. So there is plenty more opportunities for people here.
Yeah. Just being a dumb American, my Irish knowledge spans mainly Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry, and then
in golf.
Yeah, in golf.
Yeah, I watched the Rory McIlroy Talk about persistence, right? Like what a great example of someone who was at 14 years, bottled it in so many occasions, basically nearly bottled it again and still came out and won that
Yeah.
last shot. So
Yep.
I think that's a great example of perseverance.
I mean, it's just being obsessed with the craft, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so something I want to ask you about. You mentioned, so at least in my mind, you're this strange blend of like marketer, hacker, grower, entrepreneur, but you also have a team. How do you balance both of those things? Because I feel like oftentimes it's you're either one or the other, and it's like, oh, if you want to do all this stuff, then you're just going to be like the high paid IC. But you've managed to do it both. How do you operate? How do you do both of those things?
It's a good question. And I will say it is hard because
And by the way, I'm not asking from like a time standpoint. I just
no, I
mean
know what
like
you're
I
saying.
feel like oftentimes
Yeah.
the maker, it's like the Paul Graham maker manager thing. Like those are just very different personas, and so I'm wondering how you can be both.
Okay. I'm going to bring something up because it might be interesting to you. I think what you're asking is, because I was asking AI about this, I think what you're asking is basically how do you is it like a great people manager, but also a great executor? Because usually the people who are great people managers are obsessed with people, and the people who execute well are obsessed by problems. And how do I actually blend the two together?
Yes, and I'll give you my selfish story of this is like I was a great marketer. You know, this is not ego, it's just kind of like giving a frame of this. Like I was like the best marketer on the team, and then because of that I grew into like, well, I guess you're the VP of marketing because you're the guy. And then when I got to like wasn't even that big compared to the size you guys have operated at, but there was like a marketing team of 30 and I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. Like my whole day is performance reviews and one-on-ones and shitty conversations. I'm like, I want to like write some headlines and shit.
I think this is the battle of anyone who is great gets a team and then they get sucked into people admin. I do wonder if it's going to change that. I have seen a lot more founders and people want to hire like super ICs as leaders. And I think AI is going to make teams smaller.
Dude, this is what has relit my candle for
Right.
marketing. Is like, I think in the future, like what I wanted to be is more possible. It's like, oh, you can be
100%.
CMO. Like, because I'm not saying I don't want to work with people, but I think like a small team, CMO, you get to do some shit and you have a team of like, 5 to 10 people. Like that would be money.
Yeah. And I think that's where we're going. But like, I think specifically, the reason I'm bringing this up, because I do think there's a real like incredible learning here. And I will actually answer the question. I'm just bringing up this quote. So I had AI basically, we did it live on a show, but because it has memory and because I spend my entire life in ChatGPT, it knows a lot about you, right? And I asked it these questions, which is like, hey, if someone was on board and to work with me, what are some of the things you would tell them about how I work? And it was like, wow, you're incredible at this, you're incredible at that. And then I basically said, tell me actually the hard truths. Like, tell me the things that people would not enjoy. And it had this thing, I'm going to read it out because it probably was the most articulate way of explaining one of my constant battles that no one else has really articulated to me in this way. It said, Kieran can be mentally 10 steps ahead and emotionally 10 steps removed. Kieran thinks in systems and long-term leverage, not interpersonal minutiae. That means he may not always sense when someone's overwhelmed, unclear, or demotivated unless you tell him. He's not cold, just focused, but emotional cues and people management don't always come naturally or first. I was like, wow. I was like, okay, like you have...
dude, this is an amazing use case because years ago, there was that like the startup growth handbook by that guy, Elad Gil. And
yes,
in it, he had this like... Claire Hughes Johnson was, I don't know if she still is, I don't really pay attention, was the COO of Stripe. And it was like this, she published this like how to work with me doc. And I was like, oh, this is genius. Like, I just need to write all these things up front so people know that I'm not an asshole. It's just like,
I do think that's what I do.
But now you have all of this data, have this third party to tell you, hey, help me write, like, how I am, help me write how to work with me. It's a great use case.
Yeah. So the three things I do is I do this, how to work with me. And I think AI is able to be really honest. And then you have to be honest with yourself. I think a lot of people want to give the best version of themselves. I don't. I actually give the real version of myself. And I think my flaws are always going to be that I am more problem obsessed than people obsessed. Does not mean I don't care about the people. It just means my energy is from trying to solve problems. And if I'm trying to solve that problem by myself, and if I can do it by myself, which with AI, I can do it a lot more often by myself, I am as energized to do that as I am with people. Other people who are much more gravitate towards people are much more energized to solve that thing with a person. And it doesn't matter to me as long as I'm solving a hard problem. I think the other thing I do is I have incredible people who do work with me who understand what are my skills and strengths. And so they will do what this thing said you have to do, which is like they're much more proactive at telling me this is a problem with the team. That person is not happy with you because you have not done a great job. So they're able to like be more proactive and like, where am I falling down because I'm so in the weeds? And then the last framework I use is push and pull. So if I look across my remit in HubSpot, like I have like 300 plus direct reports and then 2 really large cross-functional teams. So I cannot be in the weeds on everything. And so I use this push and pull where I tell people this quarter, these are the things I'm going to be in the weeds on, which means I'm going to push really hard. And it does not mean I don't think you're good at your job. It just means I'm obsessed with this problem and I'm going to act like a team member. Everything else, I expect you to pull me in when you need me. But for the most part, I'm not going to be like knocking at your door in Slack or emailing you constantly like what's happening here, because I assume it's going well unless you pull me in. That's kind of my model. Do I think I'm perfect in the way it works? No. Like I've definitely constantly have like gaps in what's happening, especially across the people side. But it's the only way to work in a way that actually will keep me super motivated to like solve these hard problems.
I think that's great. It's it comes with the wisdom of having gone through change and growing a big org and knowing yourself. But I think one of my biggest weaknesses as a manager is I'm a strongly opinionated marketer. And so like with you, right, you have 300 people on a team. I'm sure you see things and you're like, I would have written that headline differently. Like, how do you not share that feedback? I find myself like, I try to be the push and pull guy. And then like, I'll be going through my emails and I'll see one of our emails. And then like, I send it to the team and I'm like, I don't like this subject line. Here's how I would have wrote this intro. And I'm like, is that the right, like there are multiple, it doesn't always have to be Dave's way, I think.
I think it should be. This is actually a good topic. I think that we have been taught in tech that the way you manage people is to like ask probing questions and like direct them towards your way of thinking, but don't give them their direct feedback or don't just do it for them because that's not how they learn. I think actually the people do want to work for craftspeople who can actually do the craft and have a really high standard. So to me, I will just say, I want to do it this way. And I think over time I think there's forums that we have that we can debate those things out. But I think strong point of view marketers are what is needed today. And I think that there should be craftspeople who manage teams who say, that it doesn't hit my bar. I want to do it this way. And it will come out in the results. I've never been a great fan on the kind of management where you're like probing and there's all these questions, like you get a memo, right? And every memo is a question, but the question is like really what you think, but you won't say it, but you're trying to like unnaturally guide the person towards what you want them to do. Yeah. Just tell them what you want them to do. Like they'll agree or disagree.
God, is this therapy for me or am I having you on the podcast? Because I do this all the time. I'm like, because I want to involve people. I want to be a good leader. I want to be a good manager. Let's do a collaborative brainstorm session about, X. And then like everyone submits their ideas and then like I sleep on it and I go for a walk and I'm like, no, I know exactly what I want to do. And then everyone's mad because they're like, what the fuck, man? You took 2 hours out of our day when you could have just told us what to do. And I think I'm getting more comfortable with being like, oh yeah, and this is why the whole thing of like vibe marketing and AI and where AI is going and that role of marketing is changing. Like, and I've heard you guys talk about this and I love it. Like, I love the thought of like great marketing as being a tastemaker in marketing. And I'm not the spreadsheet guy, but I think I have strong opinions. I think I have creative ways to solve problems. And I'm like, I kind of just want to say what the answer is and have people execute on it sometimes versus
I think teams want that. I think more teams want that. And my experience, like there's definitely teams who are like, hey, I don't want to be told the answer. I want to be able to try to do this myself. But there's a lot of other teams that actually appreciate core points of view and direction. I think some of the best managers or leaders are the best leaders because they understand the crafts and you want to be on their team because you're going to learn. And sometimes that means that you are doing the executing and they're doing all of the thinking. But sometimes it means that you're going to do the thinking because you have better thoughts, you have better points of view. And being a great leader is understanding where that person idea is better than yours. But I certainly am more aligned with your way of just, if you have an answer, just give it to them versus spending 3 to 4 hours probing. Yep. Are you sure this is the right headline? Are you sure it shouldn't be this thing? No, we're going to do our one.
My first like real marketing job was a PR internship, and my boss would always, this was like when you're using Outlook for emails, and I would send an email to a client and my boss would send it back to me all like marked up with red, and he literally would rewrite all my emails and the subject line. And I was like, at the time I hated it, but now it's like, I guess it's like parenting in somewhere where like, oh man, that guy helped me be a good communicator by like, instead of being like, what do you think you should have said here? He'd be like, here's how he would rewrite the whole email. And like, you remember that feeling of getting like a doc back and it's all marked up in red and you're like, this, I didn't keep a single word that I wrote. But that was how I learned to write effectively.
So first of all, that exact process is basically sounds like copy work, right? Copy work is when you're just writing out, this because you're incredibly good at copy, where you're writing out the same copy time and time again to learn it. The other, my experience, very similar to that, is one of the, I give this famous presentation in HubSpot, and it was called the Death March because it just sucked so bad. I knew it's like someone said, fuck, this sucks during the presentation. And someone like afterwards basically just like, give me the play-by-play of here's how it sucked. This sucked, that sucked. And I cannot even like tell you how much I learned from that versus someone who wouldn't tell me straight how bad that was and why it was bad. Like that's how you learn. I think you just learn much more quicker.
Do you ever listen to your own podcast?
I listen to the parts where we have made like, where I think there's like funny things that we did. So we did that. Kip and I did the AI giving us the real truths about us because we're so alike.
Yeah.
I just know it says some things about us that I just thought were hilarious. And I'm like, how the frick do you know this? Like, it's weird that you know this, but not really, no.
My wife sent me this this Instagram video of like a guy going for a walk with like this like robot. It's like, she's like, this is you in ChatGPT. And then I saw another one that was like, it was a robot just wandering the beach and it was like ChatGPT doing a mental health walk after talking to me all day.
I do want, like, it is incredible how much of our lives we're spilling out into ChatGPT. I was talking to someone earlier and they're like, well, is there any real switching costs between these? And I'm like, well, ChatGPT is like literally my friend.
Okay. So this is one of my questions for later is like, one of the things that, you guys drive me nuts because you make me feel like, man, I'm only using ChatGPT because I know there's so many use cases, but I'm like, the lock-in is so real because it's been 2 years and I've spent so much time writing in there, and like the memory is becoming such a part of the lock-in that it's like, man, that's the gold of that. God, I hope they protect that data. That'd be worse than leaking my Google search history or the group text getting
right.
leaked.
But I think what you're saying is incredibly important. The memory has been an unbelievable lock-in for these companies. Like they all have it, but now ChatGPT has a real reason for you to keep using that. I think there's reasons to use different models, but Claude was my go-to. I was like talking about Claude nonstop. I still love that product, but Claude is not trying to think about where these companies are going. Claude is actually not trying to be your personal assistant. They want to be an infrastructure company. They want to power agents. Their latest release, Opus 4, was much more around powering other companies' autonomous agents. I think ChatGPT wants to be your assistant. Google want to be your assistant. So memory is a real lock-in. And so there's different reasons to use different models. I would say for most people right now, ChatGPT can do most of the things you want to do. There are some business use cases that Claude, I think, is really good for.
Like what? Like projects? I know you guys use it a lot internally for like sharing work and context. What are the business use cases?
The projects are shareable. Like, so when you have teams, I think AI in general suffers from a multiplayer mode. And so I think it's much more single player, which for an introvert like me is pretty bad because it gives me another reason not to talk to humans. But Claude has like more shareable features. OpenAI has this now, but Claude has like really great integrations. And so I was doing a little video for my newsletter subscribers to show how you could basically get all of a whole marketing summary for the year. Like basically, what did we achieve this year? Key milestones, all of those different types of things. And it's getting all of that from our Asana, G Drive, email, everywhere else. And then it's able to do a whole summary and presentation on what we've done. But Claude has access to about 8,000 tools now through Zapier's MCP. So you can do a ton of like business stuff just through the interface. Gemini is a really good model. I know it's really good. I just don't have time. I use it now and again, but I'm so intertwined with ChatGPT right now. I just have not used it as much as I was using it.
No, that makes me feel better to hear you say that. So I saw you often write about, like when it comes to ChatGPT, you often like, at least in the post you write, you always say like O3 is the blank. Like I just checked, my default is 4.0, but I always see you talking about O3. What is the difference? Why would I switch them?
So O3 is a reasoning model. It is for more complex tasks. I do think I overuse it. So when you have like complex tasks that require a multitude of different steps, O3 is a better model to use. The O model is just for your everyday tasks.
Okay.
Here's what's happening, actually, what's kind of really interesting. at some point very soon, you have to drop down and you have to pick like the O3 model, the O model, the deep research model, the image, whatever it may be. They are starting to combine all of these. So even in your O model now, I think if you do a kind of prompt that is more suited to deep research, it will do the deep research without you having to trigger the deep research. And GPT-5, which is coming out, I thought May, so it's obviously been delayed. I have not checked back in to see if there was an update. They're going to collapse it all into a single assistant because they want to get to the personal assistant. So you don't even have to think about what model do I use. They know that that is a friction point for users. It's just because they can't figure out the intent. So they don't know if you need reasoning. They don't know if you need deep research. You should just pick it yourself. They're going to solve that with the next model. I think that is going to be the next leap in terms of adoption for AI because it's going to make it just so easy to use these things for the average user.
Yeah, that's nice. There's a lot of like, it is moving so fast. And even just like the memory as an example, I remember as recently as like a year ago, I shared with the people on our team, like, hey, copy my custom instructions because I've trained my ChatGPT to be so good around Exit 5 and knowing our business and our persona and all that. And now I don't even have to do that anymore because it's like, if you just start using it, all the memory gets saved. And so the innovation is great. And ultimately, like that's what I want. I don't like, I'm a very simple like I don't like decision fatigue. I don't like knowing there's 20 tools. I want to use the one and I want to go deep in that. I've always been that way from like even studying copywriting. It was like, I picked Dan Kennedy and David Ogilvy and I just studied all that stuff versus trying to like,
do the broad
worry
thing.
about everything else. So simple is better.
All right, AI generated slop. I think it's the best thing to ever happen in marketing, actually, because it raises the bar, right? AI slop is going to kill deals, kill brand, and kill trust. Today, marketers, like, we're also customers too, right? And so we have to actually put ourselves in the position of our customers and think about all the AI slop they're seeing. And it's on us to create things that actually matter, things that have meaning and impact, things that are educational, entertaining, funny, useful, specific, and relevant. And that's everything that our sponsor AirOps stands for. They're helping reshape how people discover and connect with brands because AI slop is not going to win. AirOps is built for marketers who want to create content that sounds like their best subject matter expert, not another chatbot. This is content grounded in real sources, real insights, and real information gain. Their content engineering platform helps you surface your highest value opportunities in AI search, then shows you how to actually take action on them, not just see dashboards, not just get another recommendation or SEO report, but actually go out and execute. And this is the topic that everyone is being asked to get smarter about right now, AI search and SEO. If you care about this topic, then you want to go and check out AirOps. They're built for you. It's airops.com/exit5. You can learn more about AirOps and what they're doing in the AI and SEO space. That's airops.com/exit5.
Okay, let's talk about what does this all mean for marketing? I have some specific questions that I want to get into later, but just like the existential, everyone listening to this now, there's thousands of listeners to this podcast that work in marketing, and we all believe in what's happening with AI, but there's also this I don't know if it's fear or skepticism. I don't really have a question, but it's like I'm gonna give you a prompt and you can you can kind of riff on this. And then I'm like, it's an interesting question to like, talk to you about and talk to Kip about because you guys are pushing the boundaries and you're at the front lines of AI, but at the same time, you have you have 300 people on the marketing team, and are they like hearing the things you're saying about like the marketing team is dead, and are they like running around HubSpot like, oh my God, what the hell's going to happen to my job? Like, how do you balance all those things, and where do you think this is going?
I think I'm going to do this as I'm going to give the most positive, optimistic view for marketers because I think there's a lot of negative ways that you can look at this. So I'm going to give the more optimistic view, I think, for marketers. And I'm also going to try to stick to the things that I strongly believe that there's some sort of evidence. And I think some of them like are pretty self-evident in terms of what's going on. Like we are going to get rid of the era of informational content, right? Because what we're moving from is answers to action. So like we grew our careers in the era of, hey, we can create a bunch of content, get it to rank on Google. I think on average, 80% of the B2B buyer journey starts on Google.
Right.
Gartner predict that in 2027, it's going to be 95% in an LLM assistant. The LLM assistant is using the informational content to give you action. So instead of me saying, how do I create Facebook ads that convert? I literally just go to the LLM assistant and say, give me Facebook ads that convert, right? So I've moved from answer to action. That's a huge...
It used to be like if you sold a sales tool, like early days of HubSpot, it'd be like, 10 best sales tools. And then like we write the article and we're like number 3 on the list.
Exactly. And then we can just convert it into customers. And I think that that is going away, right? I think, so that to me is the visit layer. So visit layer, clicks, less clicks. I think if you go up one, I think that we have to be much better at how we garner awareness and attention. Like that's one of your superpowers. It's how do you actually create things that stand out from the noise? I do think what's happening is the channels where you do that gravitate towards a creator person versus a brand, which I think is another hard thing for marketers who work for brands. And like Substack's one of the sites that is actually growing in traffic, right? Podcasting, YouTube, social, all of these things are much more better for the individual. So that top layer is much harder for a brand because visits are being disrupted, awareness is being disrupted. The channels that grow are much more suited to a creator. But all of the value from AI is accruing in the what happens when you capture the contact. And I think that is a lot of reasons to be optimistic, right? Because some of the things that I think are really interesting is in B2B, we were sold that segmentation is the way we build our marketing plans. Like, hey, you're all kind of the same. So here you go. This is like the thing that you should all enjoy. And I think AI allows you to go right into marketing at the company level, right? So we can actually, some of the crazy things you could do is dynamic website optimization, which is when you change the homepage based upon whatever segment you're in, you get this copy, you get this look and feel, which never really worked that well. In the future, you could build that person could have a separate microsite, like just for their company, because code is super cheap. So you can actually build these tailored websites for individual companies. Instead of having a one-to-many newsletter, you can do this now. You can use AI plus these kind of tools to build newsletters for one-to-one. Like you could be in our database and I could build a newsletter that you want to describe to based upon stuff that I know about you. And so I think we move towards micro audiences and much more tailored campaigns to those audiences, which should allow us to extract more from less. Now, I'll give some other optimistic things about the top part. OpenAI is going to release ads in their freemium tier, right? That's why they hired the ex-CEO of Instacart, which is great. Now we at last get another platform that we can do stuff in, right? Yeah. And for them to make that work, I do think they'll want to actually have traffic go into publishers because I think they're smart enough to realize, well, if we break the relationship between why you create content and getting traffic back for that content, then over time, we have to rely on training models via synthetic data. So what I mean by synthetic data is no one's creating content anymore. So the AIs have nothing else to learn from. So the AI itself has to create content for the AI to learn from. Now, I will say the scary thing is DeepSeek's latest models have shown that synthetic data may be better than what we produce, which is a whole other rabbit hole to go down that you may not need humans at all. But I do think what I have seen this year, if they really have started to change the way that they surface people's websites and content in the app itself, and we at HubSpot have seen a real increase in traffic coming through the LLMs because of that. It's much more prevalent that your website is one of the sources. It's not just buried as a link. They're doing the actual website in little containers. So I'll stop there. I can go in any direction you want, but I think that's somewhat where we are. And then I'll end with the thing you and I think are fans of is AI. I think as a marketer, you can do much more marketing because AI gets rid of a lot of the admin overhead.
Oh, do you know how many? So your point, you said my superpower is awareness, attention, right? Like I've always been the ghostwriter for CEOs, I've always been like, oh, we need Dave to make the deck. Best thing to ever happen is Canva AI, Gamma. I see you guys talking about GenSpark. Like,
that's so good.
If I had this stuff back then, man, I would have been like, CEO, we're sitting down in the room. I'm going to interview for an hour. I got the transcript. I'm going to go make the slides. I don't have to wait. It just would always be a cycle of waiting for a designer or waiting for a developer.
Oh my God. Okay, you're touching on something. I have never been so happy to be a marketer. So I know like people are scared. I'm freaking so excited.
Yeah.
Kip and I talked about this. I love doing the craft. I can actually do all the things that so basically, I can create the design, the slide. I can actually be way more autonomous because I actually think I have good ideas and know how to execute. If you're that person, I think this is amazing. This is super amazing.
I agree. So the pivotal moment of my career was I was working at Drift. David Cancel, who's the founder and CEO, was like, I was just seeing what everybody was doing in the world. And I was like, I got to become this like growth marketer. I got to become the like funnel, I got to become like the demand gen guy if I want job security. And he was like, visionary founder. He was like, no, he's like, absolutely not. Do not do that. He's like, you have a superpower, which is creativity, storytelling, copywriting, awareness, attention. He's like, just double down on that stuff. And like, we can hire other people and agencies and whatever to do that. And that is now why, like, I'm not joking to you. I was like pretty burnt out on marketing. It's like, man, I've been doing this for a long time. But the last 2 years have been like, oh, no, this has relit my candle because I'm like, all the things that I like them making ads. I want to make videos. I want to do creative. I want to do story. I don't want to be sitting in the meeting looking at the funnel.
Yeah, I wish where this is like real therapy here. I was the same. 2 years ago, I was like, I've done a lot. I've luckily had some success. I was like, I'm going to just go to the steady state. I thought I was going to go do VC or do just steady state, right?
Yeah.
And then I got into AI and I just was reawakened, like for the very same reasons that I think I can just do a ton of cool shit. Like each and every day you can execute. You have someone that you can get through things much faster. I do think, I don't know if you feel that there is something that I have started to become more cognizant of for people who are really in the weeds is like AI fatigue. At the end of the week, I feel, maybe because I have a toddler as well, but I feel more tired than I ever feel because you're really doing stuff. You're not having to like wait a day for someone to come back and another day for someone to come back and another day for someone to come back. The one thing that I have to try to like hold myself back is the ability to multitask is...
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm trying to hold myself back. Last night, I was like prototyping a software app. I was trying to solve a hard problem. I was trying to do something legal in a legal situation I'm going through. Nothing bad, but like in my personal life. I was trying to get the AI to optimize my investment portfolio. And I was trying to do something else. And it was like 11:30 at night. And I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah. No, that's like, that's
too much AI.
I feel that. I mean, I think that our brains were not meant to multitask. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
My team tells me that I'm a good multitasker, but I see that as that's not a compliment because it means that I am multitasking when I should be focused. And I do find that when I've put in a good day's work, it's usually one or two deep projects,
100%.
not whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Or I need to time box that whack-a-mole. And so like I usually have some time in the morning and some time in the afternoon where that's my like Slack and email time. But the other day, man, I took half the day and I worked on a like positioning vision thing for our company. And I was like, I did nothing else. I ignored my text messages, my Slack. It was just me and my ChatGPT, But that always feels better is that deep work. So
yeah,
I like the look. 100%. I think anything, all these things in life, I think history is why I like reading history. I like studying history because what's happening with AI now is what happened with the internet. It's like you can go back to all these technological innovations. There is always people that are claiming that this thing is going to be the end of the world and everybody's doomed. And I think I appreciate the like, let's look at the positive. And like, if you like the craft of marketing, then I think there's a lot of positive things here. Now, if you just want to like write a bunch of kind of shitty social copy and like automatically schedule it and blast it out and you think that is marketing, then like, of course, all that stuff can be replaced by AI. But I like the opportunity of like human plus AI, like tastemaker, creative, human, working with this like super machine to create stuff. Like, man, Don Draper plus ChatGPT would be like the most insane thing of all time.
So the way I think about it for marketers is you have to now be at the opposite end of the spectrum. And if you can combine these things, you have a superpower, which is you have to be incredibly technical because I think AI can be deployed across all marketing workflows. And for me, you have to think about marketing in some ways like an engineer thinks about solving problems because you look at everything as a workflow and you figure out how AI could be integrated to up-level that thing, reduce the amount of time spent on that and allow the humans to spend 10x more time on the things that are really valuable. So I think there's like the technical thing really matters. And I've seen that time and time again. You see roles called these kind of new roles like GTM engineer and all these roles. I think there's like a technical discipline getting stood up that really matters. Because if you're a special snowflake, maybe you're an and, you have to be like at the outer edges of creativity because ideation really matters. Storytelling really matters. Copyright really matters. Like actually the things that you spent your time mastering, I think those are the most important skill sets to learn at the opposite ends. What actually is problematic is the middle portion, all the messy middle where you're not actually at the outer edges, you're just good enough.
Right.
All the good enough stuff. I actually do think that is going to be problematic. So I would pick a lane and try to make sure that you are on the outer edges of that lane
It's so true because the middle can just be like, I can just write an average prompt and get the landing page copy for like a
100%.
webinar that we're doing and generate the emails, and takes 5 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple questions for you, sir. This is great. It's, by the way, must be fun for you not hosting it's always fun when you're not the host, you just get to hang out. But it's much more fun having a conversation with someone who is used to the banter on a podcast. Like, you ever interview someone and it's like, yes, next question, Dave.
Yeah, you do the questions. Can I get the questions in advance, and then they answer the question? And that's it. I've had some experience early, because this is the marketing experience. My second podcast, my first one was like this growth TLDR. I've probably done. Like, you're similar, because I know you've been podcasting. I think you've done way more podcasting than me, but I've probably done, along with Kip now, 700 episodes.
Yes,
that one and my last one, and like, so I think it's actually, even if it never grew, do you think, I think this way, it's given me a real ability to have clear and concise points of view and think on my feet a lot more. You actually learn something by just doing it, other than the numbers.
I mean, I think it's great. Like, I think if nobody listened to your show, but you and Kip riffing on the AI stuff, like, that is going to inform HubSpot strategy, just because it's like a comedian working out bits and stuff. And right. I do it like on these webinars that we host or something. Like, if I make a joke or you make an analogy and I see the chat like light up, I literally write that down. And then that becomes like, it's no different than like writing on LinkedIn, or that's where the things come from. Like, I'm taking notes during this conversation with you, and I've gotten a bunch of ideas of like, they're essentially bits. Like, okay, ooh, that I kind of lit up around that one. Let's take that. Like,
funny thing is, I think the exact same way. I think of everything in terms of short form content. And there's so many times Kip and I are talking, and Kip is like, he's a bit machine. Like, he says things, and I'm just like, oh, that's good. Like, he has a great way of like framing things. And he's really dialed in on trying to get the podcast there. He's not as like focused on other channels. So he always sees me take his bit and it appears in one of my channels. And I'm like, oh, I did your bit, and then got a ton of traction. He's like, okay, cool.
Love that. All right. Somebody, all right. So I did get a couple listener questions. Somebody said, Kieran is a prompt genius. Get him to share some of his prompt frameworks to help marketers find white space where they can't be replaced by AI. Another way to say this, and this is my ChatGPT iteration on this, is you've said that prompting is a new literacy. So what makes someone an expert prompter? How do marketers learn that skill? And how do you train your brain to think in terms of prompts?
Prompting? So I can tell you what I do. I think I'm never the smartest person doing these things, but I'm very, very quick at iteration and very, very good at perseverance. And so I'm looking at it here. I have like 12 different custom GPTs that are all trained on different prompt methodologies and frameworks. So whenever I find something that works, or wherever I iterated on something that works, I will create a custom GPT so I can conversate with that GPT, and it will turn that conversation into a prompt. And I can give you the example I just this morning. So Cursor's system prompt late, which is like, Cursor, these are autonomous agents that are working on prompts, just like you and I create prompts. That's a $300 billion company. And so their system prompt leaked. You can go get it. It's online. And so I went and basically spent this morning with O3 really trying to distill down the core learnings from that system prompt. Then I will extract those core learnings and try to figure out which ones are applicable for like marketing and growth. And then I will train a custom GPT to turn any kind of outcome I want. So one of the examples I did was, hey, I want a campaign. It should be quirky. It should be 30 days and generate 100 customers. Let's say I ask it for that. It will take the learnings that we took from the system prompt and craft that into a prompt. And then I will iterate on that a little bit. That is how I am doing all of the prompts that people see publicly, is I have trained custom GPTs on things that I find online that I can use to craft all of these different prompts.
Nice.
One of the interesting things that is going back and forth in my mind is like, I get lit up on the YouTube comments. Like, you kind of showed 3 prompts and you said you wouldn't share one. I'm like, should I share it or not share it? And I've realized that at the moment, some of the stuff is proprietary. Like, it's like, you can literally build software apps from this stuff. So I think marketers are going to have their own little secret treasure troves of prompts. And some marketers are going to be much, much better because they figured out some things in that prompt. And how long it lasts for, I don't know, when the AI becomes much better.
Okay, well, I'm going to try. I think my key takeaway from Kieran for everybody listening on that is like, and this is where I make a mistake, is I sit there and I try to think of the prompt that I need to write. You're very much like an action. And this is why, like, for marketers have always had a swipe file. And basically, if you have a curious mind and you're seeing things around you that you like, grabbing them, using them as examples, using them to integrate into the prompts, even asking, writing prompts to help you write a prompt. Like, hey, here's
Exactly.
the thing that I'm trying to solve. What would be the way, what would be the questions that you'd want to ask to get there?
Exactly. Yeah, the swipe file is the perfect analogy. Again, it's how you train yourself to think. Everything I see, I'm like that. I could take that and turn that into some sort of prompt in GPT.
Yeah. Well, tell me I've always had strong opinions on marketing, but I'm not a designer. And so I don't speak the language of, I don't like the padding and this vector. I don't know that nonsense. But now it's amazing because if I'm working with a designer, I can basically find design things that I like and I put them in ChatGPT and I say, hey, can you describe the similarity? Like, here are 3 websites or 3 aesthetics. Like, tell me about them. Tell me what you like. And then now I sound like this very, cultured designer when I'm working with a creative person. It's great. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to hit on some more things with you. What do you think about the role? So we've talked about, a little bit about the marketing team. These are all kind of quickish answers if you can.
Yeah.
The role of the CMO in the future, what do you think is going to change about the CMO role in B2B marketing?
I think it's going to be like what we've talked about, a craftsperson, practitioner, smaller team, less people management, less having to move boxes around, more actually can do the job. I suspect like your story was, hey, that's why I didn't like being a CMO because I didn't get to do that. I think and I hope that we go back towards people who actually are craftspeople.
Yeah, that would be nice. That'd be fun. That's how I could be somebody's CMO. That would be great. Here's another listener question. Okay, Kieran, if 95% of what agencies offer today is automated by AI, how do you see creative shops, say video production companies, evolving to best serve marketers in the future?
Specifically video shop, but I think agencies in general will instrument agents for companies. So I think that's one of the better services is you take the service you do and you customize it for that company and give them agentic workflows. That's what I would do if I was an agency.
Another trend, this is not necessarily related to AI, but I interview hundreds of marketing leaders every year and have done so for the past, God knows how long. And the number one trend over the last 2 or 3 years, there's AI. The other one is in-person and in-person everything. And it's like, there's kind of 2 ends of the spectrum. It's like, and you talked about this earlier, either you're going to get your answers and information from the LLMs, or you're going to like go and talk to your peer group. I'm just curious how you feel like, do you agree with that trend? Are you seeing that too? Or it's kind of like we either want to like hang out with our people or talk to ChatGPT.
Like everything gets polarized. I actually think the want for people to be part of a community, a tribe, the want for people to have human interactions where they add value. I think maybe that's the part, right? Is like where it adds value so you can automate all of the places that used to be friction and add humans in where they actually add real value. But I definitely think if the bet I was making is like in-person events, communities, things that give you mastermind groups, things that give you a tribe are going to be way more in demand. I think it's more and more of our day-to-day interactions move towards AI.
Yeah, we do a bunch of events and basically
that, yeah.
We have sponsors who do stuff across all of our channels and everything. And everyone if I had a team of 50 people, we could keep up with the demand right now. But it's like if we could do a dinner in a city every week or a meetup, like everybody wants to do those types of things. And I think the AI,
the smaller meetups as well, I think are great.
Oh yeah.
I think the thing you should do here is like, I'm not an events person. Poker nights. I want events like, I think all events should do poker nights. I think that's the thing I think poker is like one of the most awesome social gathering games.
Yeah.
And events should all do that.
Well, I think in that case, like poker might be your thing, but I think there's like, people want to play pickleball. People want to go for a hike. It's not just like, and nobody drinks anymore. So it's like, nobody wants to meet up and have a drink. And so it's like everybody's, we're doing activities.
Yeah.
Okay, quick hitters for you. What's the most overrated AI marketing use case?
LinkedIn comments.
I don't know if you've ever seen I just have fun now. I just like write the most absurd things back to people and like, yeah, there's just like, I'll instantly get 10 comments and it's always the most absurd things. And I go to ChatGPT and I say, can you write me an absurd comment back to this person? And so I give them like Robot Dave back to that.
I always like that they get it as like the start of a story. I know, but like the start of the sci-fi movie when you were a kid and it opens up and there's this like incredible future and there's all this robotic stuff. And then it pans to the marketer and they're like automated LinkedIn comments with their AI brain.
I don't even like I just like, I'm straight up in the comments. Like I'll just reply to someone and be like, you're not a real person. I can't handle it. You can't say ChatGPT. You can't say Claude. Give me a third tool that you're using the most right now.
GenSpark.
GenSpark.
Yeah, it is awesome. Like it's only a year out. So it has kinks. The founder is awesome, Expedue, But they're the first agent they built that I'm really using is their presentation tool. I did something, was at an offsite in San Francisco. All of my decks that went down really well, looked like designer, had did them all done by myself. They were done by O3 and me. I think that's the little tip I'll give your audience is like, don't do the prompt in GenSpark. Get the O3 to create the prompt for GenSpark. Here's a little tip. If you're using other tools, give O3 the technical documentation for those tools and have O3 craft the prompt for the tool. And that's what I did.
Oh, interesting. So you would go basically write your slides in O3 and then go to GenSpark to build out the deck.
And copy and paste a prompt. I literally then will cut and paste the slide image and say, hey, this has gone wrong. Can you tell the kind of app how to fix this? I do that with Lovable. I spend a ton of time in Lovable and I have O3 prompt in Lovable.
Okay, I like that. And then you're basically just working out of ChatGPT, getting your content there going.
Yeah.
And the deck thing is such a good use case. All right, shout out to GenSpark. They just got 3 new users, maybe 4. Biggest mistake marketers make when using AI?
Copy. I think you have to be really skilled at both copy and prompting to get it to create something good. I hear this all the time. AI is not a great creative partner. It's because you can't prompt. I promise you that you cannot prompt. It is a great creative partner if you know how to prompt it for content. But most of what I see marketers do is create average content at scale.
Yes. I like this, what you said earlier. It's the swipe file idea. It's not the tool. It's like, if you have a creative mind and you're grabbing inspiration from here and from there and from there, and then you give that to ChatGPT, that is like...
Teach it what's good. That's actually Greg Brockman, the co-founder of OpenAI, released a prompt. And one of the core things about that is the more specific you are on the outcome, the better the AI system will be able to do a replicate in that.
Do you think people care if it's AI generated or not?
That is a great question. All right. So I think in your interactions, like, because we're doing a bunch of AI interactions across chat, across other places, you should disclose that this was AI created. Would people care if they were reading like a Substack created by an AI influencer? I actually don't know. The only thing I have to go on is some of the biggest and fastest growing influencers on Instagram are AI, and people don't seem to have any problem interacting or following them. I don't know, like it's great.
Wait, sorry. In your first example, you're saying if it's a chat, you should, like, if you're chatting with like if you're interacting agent or something?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. You should never mimic a human with AI and not tell the person they're conversating with an AI.
Because I was thinking about this like now. I was like, we talk to a lot of like agency owners and stuff, right? And I'm thinking about my own business. If we hired somebody to do a project and they delivered the work for us and the work was amazing and I was totally happy with it and it did the job, and then later, after the fact, I found out it was done by AI. Why would I care? I don't care.
No. But if you read, like, do you read content like whoever your favorite newsletter writers are, do you read it because you gravitate towards those people, have a ton of respect for those people, and the content kind of fulfills the way you think about that person? Or do you just gravitate towards the content agnostic of the person? I think there's some places. Would I ever follow an influencer, an AI created avatar on YouTube and sign up to their channel? I don't know, because I think I care about the person more. I care about the content.
Yeah, I think it's like the broader point, which is like it's like people first, the influencers. But I think if I'm like looking for an answer for something, like how to fix a clogged toilet or something, then I don't care if it's AI.
If it's a functional need, I don't care. If it's something I need, I don't care.
Okay, biggest lesson you've learned becoming a father?
Oh, God. It has to be, wow, there's a lot. I think the amount of time I wasted prior to becoming a father, I'm like, what did I do? What was I doing? And why didn't I build like a rocket ship or something? Because when you become a parent...
A mentor of mine used to tell me, man, before I had kids, he said, man, you don't know it, but you have nothing but free time right now.
No, it's incredible. Like, and then, and so you have to be very cognizant about what you're spending your time on. I think that's one of my biggest lessons. The other thing is like, I know it comes back to something you started with, which is it's easy sometimes for some people who have had some success in a career to say this, but like none of this is that serious. You know what I mean? There's just like more important things. Like I try to have fun with it. That's try to remind myself is like,
it's like I see a heated discussion on LinkedIn about like how using the M dash. I'm like, give me a break, dude. What are we doing here? Like this is
fun. Like have fun with it. Just have fun with it.
All right, we got to wrap up. Kieran Flanagan, thank you so much. Finally get to hang out on the pod. This was great. Everyone's going to message me and tell me to have you on again. Do me a favor. If you like this stuff, go check out Kieran and Kip's show. It's called Marketing Against the Grain. They don't want your RSS listens. They want them on YouTube. So go to YouTube, watch the short videos. But I believe from a learning standpoint, I think decision fatigue is real. And so the way that I've learned marketing over the years is I've kind of always picked one or two people and gone deep with them. And then for me, you guys don't know this, but a big part of me learning AI and getting into AI from a business and marketing standpoint has been through your show. And so if you're like overwhelmed by all the AI stuff right now, don't worry about trying to pay attention. There's always that one guy on LinkedIn who's like, breaking news, this thing, this, just, Kip and Kieran will do a good job on Marketing Against the Grain of like digesting that. And, that would be nice. Go throw them a couple subscribers and that would make us happy. And maybe we'll get Kieran to come back on again. So, all right.
Cool. I love being here.
Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. If you like this episode, you know what? I'm not even going to ask you to subscribe and leave a review because I don't really care about that. I have something better for you. So we've built the #1 private community for B2B marketers at Exit 5, and you can go and check that out. Instead of leaving a rating or review, go check it out right now on our website, exit5.com. Our mission at Exit 5 is to help you grow your career in B2B marketing, and there's no better place to do that than with us at Exit 5. There's nearly 5,000 members now in our community. People are in there posting every day, asking questions about things like marketing planning, ideas, inspiration, asking questions and getting feedback from your peers, building your own network of marketers who are doing the same thing you are so you can have a peer group. Or maybe just venting about your boss when you need to get in there and get something off your chest. It's 100% free to join for 7 days, so you can go and check it out risk-free. And then there's a small annual fee to pay if you want to become a member for the year. Go check it out, learn more, exit5.com, and I will see you over there in the community. Hey, by the way, we're doing a new event at Exit 5 on the heels of our very wildly successful and super fun drive. We're doing an event designed for marketing leaders. It's called the Exit 5 Marketing Leadership Retreat. It's a 2-day in-person working session for CMOs and VPs in Arizona in March. Not a conference, not a marathon of content. It's a room of 100, only 100 marketing execs from companies like Zoom, Snowflake, ManyChat, Bitly, G2, HP, and more. You'll spend 2 days pressure testing real decisions with your peers who are doing the same job you are, what to hire next, what to cut, what's actually working, what's not. Small, intimate, exactly what you have needed in a marketing event designed for leaders and CMOs and VPs like you and me. It's on March 18th through the 20th, 2026 at Mountain Shadows Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have 100 spots and they're filling up fast. I think as of recording this, we had 42 tickets sold. So if you're a CMO or VP of marketing and you want to think better, move faster, and lead with more clarity this year, this event is made for you. We do awesome events. I'm super excited to have this one out there. You should go check it out. Exit5.com/retreat. That's exit5.com/retreat.